things like slightly lighter. I'm showing you a very small video, but I'm going to use it in my session anyway. This I can't hear. Is it audible? Ashutosh, can you hear?
No, the audio is not there. So
audio is not there. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Just see the video. Start from beginning. Just see the video. I will tell you. Just captions नहीं दिखेगा. Show the video. This actually is the Greek mythology. This lady is Venus. Venus. She was married to somebody called Vulcan. This is Vulcan. This is Vulcan. She was married to Vulcan, but she fell in love with another god, Mars. This is Mars. Vulcan found out about their love. So he put them in a net and hanged for everybody to see, to probably tell them what is the fate if you go into illegitimate affairs. So this is a Greek mythology. I thought if the audio was there, you would have enjoyed it. I will come to it. The reference is there. Before I start, there is this organization called the Newton Project. This started around in 1998. This is based out of University of Oxford. This is based out of University of Oxford. Also, the collaborations are from University of Cambridge, the National Library Israel, Indiana University Bloomington, and the Newton Project Canada. These people together have been publishing papers written by Newton and written on Newton. And of course, they ensure that the articles definitely have been verified or corrections made if needed by a number of people before they publish the articles. And also, as I told you in the beginning, Professor Chaudhary also had referred to it, that after Newton died, people found the private papers, but they were supposed to be, they were stamped not fit for publication, because some of them were anti-church. So the people thought. So for 200 or 300 years, those papers were not published. Maybe 1 or 2 papers were leaked. I'm not sure. But majority of the papers came into light during and after this 1932 purchasing in an auction by John Keynes, who later decodified them. So from there, this Newton project, which started in 1998, they are trying to dispel doubts, facts, removing facts from fiction, and really putting the facts on the table for people to decide whether what the image that they have developed about Newton after 1932 is right or not right. So what these people, the Newton project has done, since the nature of the notes are very, very fragmented, also his correspondence is not in one place. So the Newton's project categorizes his manuscripts in word count, not in the article count. So they use in words. I mean the slide on number of words. Once, okay, just remove the slide right now. Please listen to me carefully. Those of us who know about Newton, we know him about as a maths of science, physics and mathematics, right? You'll be surprised to know that the amount of work that he has written, the kind of material that he has written is 2 times more than is all the works on maths and physics put together. So here is what the Newton project has done. They have compartmentalized Newton's writings in 4 headings. On theology and religion, he has written approximately 5 million words, which is 50% of his total output. These papers include his biblical criticism, notes also on prophecy, when the world is going to come to an end, about which I shall talk later on, and his rejection of the Trinity. On science and mathematics, number 2, they are only means as compared to his other work, 3 million words, which is only 30% of his total output. Next. Next is his writings on alchemy. They're around 1 million words, around 10% of his total output. About alchemy, I'm going to discuss in detail after some time. And the fourth, I was extremely surprised. I had never heard about it. Mr. Newton, whom many call the last magician, he also has written on public administration and on means. That is only about 10%. Now, the problem, as I had already spoken about it, that when the Newton's papers were published, many people called him heretical, actually dangerous heretic, that he's against church, he's against Bible, he's against God. Newton was definitely not either against Bible or God. Actually, his beliefs during his school time, which he had on the scriptures, turned into faith. So much of a belief he had on scriptures and Bible and God. The problem with people who understand him in his way, or the fact of the matter is, he was against the Trinity and he was against Christ. Because the first commandment itself says, Exodus 23, you shall have no other gods before me. So naturally, to Newton's rational mind or to anybody's rational mind, if there is no other God before me, how can they consider Christ as the God or Trinity, Father, Son, and the Spirit as God? So this was his objection to it. But he would not have published that, because during that time, had he published this or had he spoken about it, definitely he would have been jailed for blasphemy, most probably killed also. But definitely, to my mind, I'm talking about my mind, Newton is a heretic, of course, because he's a rebel. If you use the word heretic in the sense of rebel, the person who is not following the norms, who does not deifying the norms, he was a rebel. But definitely he was not a heretic in the sense he was not anti-Bible. He was definitely not anti-Christ. Okay. Let's come to the philosophy. Now I come to alchemy. And here will be the reference of the video I showed. So the video in short was just talking about the mythology of Venus, Mars, Vulcan, and the net. Much before Newton's time, some of us know during the Middle Ages also, the chemists or the people were trying to form something, trying to get something, trying to find something, create something, which they called philosopher's stones, which will convert everything into gold. So philosopher's stone has been a myth, has been a evading idea since long. Newton writes that to him, the philosopher's stone is the elixir of life, a potent potion that could cure all diseases, restore youth, and grant immortality to whoever consumed that amount. Then he goes on further. It will transmute ordinary crystals into valuable gemstones. It also will create self-igniting and perpetually burning lamps. Next one. The third slide. Please look at the third slide more carefully. Creating self-igniting and perpetually burning lamps. Are we talking about energy here? That one something whose energy will be not lost only. But I would refrain myself from extrapolations. This had caught my attention, so I wanted you also to spend some time on it. It talks about reviving dead plants, and it also talks about, right? I mean, the philosopher's stone, creating a homunculus, a small human-like creature. But I shall go further. In other of the writings, to Newton, the stone was also seen as a profound spiritual symbol. He thought this represents divine illumination, perfection, and the achievement of an inner wisdom, which he called great work of alchemy. Which he called, if I can do that, that will be my magnum opus. Now, coming back to Newton. Newton had read, as I told earlier, Metamorphosis, and from there, he found that the characters and the events represent much more than the people and the events. which happens in most of the spiritual understanding of these scriptures, which happens all the time. But to Newton, you can see Venus and Mars on the left side, and Vulcan, the angry, fireful man, very, very angry. He's trying to capture them in the net. Okay. To Newton, Venus, the beautiful, was copper. Mars, the warrior, was iron. Vulcan, fire, the craftsman, was the blacksmith. And the net, which was also called Athanor, was the furnace. So this is how Newton interpreted these things. And what does the Newton do? He tries to mix compounds of copper and iron, put them into a fire, which he made into a furnace. And he for 12, this is the furnace which Newton had made. In this, when you see the recording, you can enlarge and see, this is exactly the diagram of the furnace, which Newton had scripted in his notebooks. So in the furnace, he put some compounds of copper, some compounds of iron, some mercury, and he heated them for a long, long amount of time in his order to create the philosopher's stone. Before go to the slide, although Newton could not create the philosopher's stone, I mean, naturally no, but during his chemical processes, he did find 4 very important materials called the star regulars of antimony, sulfic mercury, red earth, next one, red earth, in alchemical theory, these 3 are considered highly exalted state of matter that could theoretically transmute lead into gold. Now, this is a hypothesis, but the 3 compounds that I mentioned, they were really prepared not only by Newton, but in 2000 and so, some chemists from some university, I forgot, they really used the compounds used by Newton, put them in the furnace, and they were able to produce exactly the 3 materials which Newton had produced in his lab. Yes. Now I come to the Newton's work on architecture. Before you go on the slides, let me read an article from the Guardian. The article written by Heaton is, Newton was trying to find proof for his theory of gravitation. He thought the ancient Egyptians held the secrets of alchemy as well as the secrets of gods and nature through the architecture. They expressed them in architectures. So he writes, today these seem disparate areas of study, but they didn't so to Newton in the 17th century. Now, seriously coming to, Newton actually believed that one temple in Jerusalem, particularly its layout and the arrangement of courtyards, served as a physical symbolic model of the heliocentric solar system, with a central altar representing the sun. To him, the architecture of this temple in Jerusalem was a key to interpreting biblical philosophy, specifically regarding the book of Ezekiel and the book of Revelation. He considered that the temple to be a site of revelation for the end times. He has also worked on the Temple of Solomon. I will talk about it. Actually, his major work is Solomon, and most of the articles written on Newton and his architecture are mainly on Solomon. One had to do lots of digging work to find his work also on the temples in Israel and others. His major work has been in Solomon, as written by many of the authors. Newton believed in something called Brasilia Serpentia Ancient, which means the primordial wisdom or the ancient lost wisdom. This had led him to alchemy also, as well as the study of architecture of ancient temples that were destroyed 2000 years back. In them, he was convinced were hidden the secrets of the matter and the spirit, I talked about it earlier. The relationship between them, if at all, he talked about, and he spent 20 years of life finding this. He assiduously worked on the reconstruction of the temples. From the information he found in the Bible written in Hebrew, and the facts he corroborated with other texts like De Tivrius, Herodotus, Strabo, Josephus, and others. So what he was trying in his on his drawing room, of course, there was no temple to be seen, but there were records of the constructions of the temples in the different texts I mentioned, and from there he reconstructed what the actual temple would have looked like. Not only that, he goes one step further. He used John Greaves' measurements of the Great Pyramid. I mean, they are still available. And from there, he scientifically calculated the length of the sacred cubit, which was 2.068 feet. And to him, it was very important because through this, he could find the circumference of the Earth and other planets. Now, what Newton does is this. He is constructing the temple, measurements, the design. Some of them I am showing here. This was Newton. He was constructing, he had actually constructed the actual measurements of the Solomon temple. Now, about which is not much known except the original notes. Many books have not been written. Newton also worked extensively on the pyramids. He worked extensively on the pyramids, and to him, the pyramids also represented. Just give me a second. The pyramids represented the center from which all energy came out and to which all energy went in. And he thought God had some kind of a similar model in the mind, if not bodily, then in the mind. So for him, pyramid was the representation of the mind. So he had really worked as hard as he had worked on the temples of Solomon as on the pyramid. So actually, again, I have got 16 more pages, but time is 8:33 and it has become long. But actually here, as I had also promised Shri earlier by talking to him, I shall not go in much into detail, but I did want to speak to you about this. It will give you some kind of a image into Newton's mind. We know he was a genius. We know he was great, but he was a man who believed as much in rationality, as much in ancient wisdom. He believed as much in God and nature as in his laws of gravitation. Actually, he goes on to the extent writing that I cannot see the sun and the planet and the gravitation which are not governed by something celestial. The last notes of Newton do speak about, I have found the laws of gravitation. I want to find that it which governs the laws of gravitation. I want to find it which causes gravitation. So with this, I end my session, and I'm ending it with again 2 lines of Alexander Pope, who writes, nature and nature's laws lay hid in night. God said, let Newton be, and all was light. So thank you very much for being with me for so long. Thank you very much. Ashutosh.
Thank you, sir. I know that this is not the only thing that you wanted to talk. There is much more than this, and and definitely maybe sometime in future you would like to hear more from you. So as you said, the time is a constraint, so it's okay. Uh, Professor Chaudhary, sir, if you are still there, would you like to conclude?
Oh, he's there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I'm very much here. But Ashutosh ji, you would be the best person to, or if some other friend, some other fellow member want to, but I allow me to before, Arunji, I don't think you have said all that you have corrected. So
Of
please,
course, sir.
please, if not in the immediate next Saturday, if that is occupied, then let it be as it is. But whenever earliest possible, let us please have all this. You see, for people like me, we had, but for you, how would we get anywhere close to these things? It's like, a surgical patient's attendant getting into the operation theater. Would any surgeon let them come in? So please, Arunji, think of it. And Ashutoshji, please, if it is possible, let's have this series. In my opinion, please pardon me, I'm exceeding the footnote limit. We have, and that's fine, we have a lot of contemporary affairs within the group, which is fine, which is like newspapers, like television chat show. This is not television chat show. This is indeed learning together. Please, now, do as all else want us to. Let's have some real academic stuff. Other things are newspaper things. They are here today, not tomorrow. They will change. Please. Thank you, Ashutoshji. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Unless anybody has anything very significant to speak about, I think we can conclude the session, if it is okay. Sir, Arun sir, you are muted. We can't hear you.
No, I'm not muted. We can
Okay.
have some inputs. I mean, normally we finish by 9:15 or so. This was the longest, very, very long, actually longest we had. But if you have some time, let people react. I mean, I would learn more from their inputs or whatever comments if they have. So keep it open to the people present here.
Okay. Okay,
Sure.
sir.
25, 26 attendance. I think we never had so many in the
29
audience.
it was, sir. At one stage, it
For
was
some
20.
time, it was 29.
Yes.
So that in itself says the interest people had in this session. And that also says that, yes, people are interested in some real topics to be discussed on Learning Together platform. And where do you start? Where do you end this session? We started with Newton as someone who influenced English literature and language, and then from a scientist acclaimed all over, the father of physics, and many adjectives we use with Sir Isaac Newton, to someone who was so deep into theosophical questions, into alchemy. So one session doesn't do justice to such a vast topic. So we can end the session later on with a promise that there would be follow-up sessions.
Yes.
And let's have some discussion on the learning platform. It's about the suitability of the dates. I am from that part of the country where this is a Lagan, a season of marriages, mundans, yajnapaveet, grih pravesh, and whatnot. So some Saturdays might be very difficult, and it was for ma'am. And Gopal is not free next Saturday. I said, yes, I would not be there next Saturday. Let us find some dates where we can have the maximum attendance. This is just a general suggestion. And personally, today I should have been in the midst of an annual session of Jharkhand Orthopedic Association, which is being held at Bokaro. I skipped that to be here this evening. And at that time, people must be enjoying the gala dinner. So this has to be compensated someday by Arunji. And I just can't put in so many words the attention everybody had towards the speaker, towards the topics. and the way such a difficult topic was explained by Professor Roy. Yes, I'm enriched. And I was busy when a question was asked about the second part. I said that would be more thought-provoking, intellectually challenging. Intellectually challenging. A man who would have been hanged had his papers were in the public domain at that point of time and age. But so deep in his faith towards what he calls something unexplained, never said God or nature, never defined, but he believed in some celestial powers. Even with gravitation, he had this. Yeah, I have discovered these laws, but who actually created this? This is a quintessential question. This is a question which even our ancient uh, Manishis, what do I call them, intellectuals, were always thinking of. Where did it all start? We need some follow-up sessions, and my personal
Actually, sir,
thanks
Bhaj,
to
sir,
Arunji.
and everybody else, I had to fight myself so much against extrapolating what I was reading to or over Vedanta or Shankaracharya. I mean, when Newton writes, first of all, a book on rules of philosophy, or when he writes another book I did not mention about how to decipher the symbols of Bible. No, they are no different than Shankaracharya writing a book on rationality before he's going into the debate. It was very, very difficult for me to constrain myself not to extrapolate. नहीं तो thanks to श्री चौधरी जी, इन्होंने मुझे एक मुझे लगा था छोटे से तालाब में डाल दिया, थोड़ा न्यूटन के बारे और काफी बातें खुद बता दी थी, लेकिन सब जब मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया तो उनका रेफरेंस मिला, रेफरेंस पढ़ेंगे तो और रेफरेंस मिला, वो रेफरेंस पढ़े तो और रेफरेंस मिला। 4 हफ्ते में वो समुद्र से बड़ा होकर महासागर, ऊपर आकाश में भी बादल है, वहां पहुंच गया। अभी कोशिश थी गागर में सागर भरने की, समय की भी सीमा थी और सब कुछ, लेकिन सर थैंक यू सर। एक्चुअली बुक्स कैन बी रिटन on Newton's contribution on English.
Yes, please.
Books can be written.
Yes.
Books can
Yes,
be
please
written
do
on.
it.
I am not a writer. I mean, I know about my limitations. Pygmy है सर। लेकिन आप सर अपने आईटी मद्रास में डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटीज में बोलिए द ग्रोथ ऑफ न्यूटन फ्रॉम प्रिंसिपिया टू ऑप्टिक्स, जबरदस्त वो गैप, बहुत ग्रोथ हुआ है सर। मुझे तो औकात नहीं है, लेकिन
I would like to add, in defense of my colleagues at IIT Madras, actually I should say my former colleagues at IIT Madras, I must say that only because they have an open mind, that they are supporting an English teacher to create a module of learning on Newton. And so I must do that, favor to them by saying, and what you have told them should be, who knows, Newton did not know in his time that his work will have such profound effect upon different departments. Who knows, this session will not have that kind of ripple effect. So Arunji, the least we can do is to be slightly patient and let us continue as long as you think you have some. I know what kinds of libraries you have been, because you have been generous enough sharing with me your notes at 2 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, and I also don't sleep very well these days. So, I should trouble Rajji about that. But Rajji is like Newton, a physician, a surgeon, a GP and everything, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, Arunji, seriously, on a very serious note, so long as you feel you have something to share, what harm is there in going on? Let's not talk about Supreme Court and UGC and what not, Trump, etc. Lots of Trumps have come and gone, and lots of them will come and go away. But this, as Shakespeare said, would stay on beyond time. Somebody someday will discover.
Sorry. If nobody is raising the hand, I mean, you can ask the newcomers who are not used to our session. They can raise their hands. And if nobody is raising hand, we shall ask Dr. Chaudhary to conclude it for us. So any hands raised,
No, I am
you can
fine.
see. I cannot see on my
I think
mobile.
Rajji or Ashutosh ji or Datta Sahab can conclude. I have been a participant with
Madhusmita,
you.
yeah. Madhusmita and Arpit.
Ashutosh ji, you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ashutosh ji is from electronics. He sees beyond eyes and beyond the next horizon. So Ashutosh ji, it would be wonderful if you did that. You know,
No,
you see
that's a
beyond
very
eyes.
big honor, sir. I don't think I can do any, even a
No, people in
infinitesimal
electronics,
part
you
of
see,
it.
some of us in humanities call physics face to face with God. Okay, and electronics is that face, you know, is as in Nachiketa Rajji once mentioned it in Kathopanishad. Yama tells Nachiketa, God is there in Anuraniyam, in the smaller than the smallest, and Mahto Mahiyam, bigger than the biggest.
Bigger than the
And
biggest.
Ashutosh ji is a scholar by research, by education, by examination in electronics. You know, which is how far a man can, how far human beings can see, in laser included. So please, okay.
So before that, as Arun sir said, we have two young people here, Arpit and Madhusmita. And if they have anything to say,
Ayush
uh,
and Madhusmita.
sorry, Ayush and Madhusmita. Ayush, I don't see him anywhere. But Madhusmita is
And if
still there.
Rahul ji is around, you can also, Ashutosh ji, if Rahul ji is around, you can also check with him. But after
Rahul,
these young people.
yes, yes. So,
Madhusmita,
Yes, sir. Good evening.
please unmute.
I'd like
Yeah,
you
of
to
course, you're
switch on your
come,
video.
come on the camera and
Am I audible, sir?
yes, we
Yeah.
can hear
Yeah,
you
but
very
can
well,
you switch on your
Madhusmita.
camera?
Okay, sir.
I'm just curious. I want to see this little young lady. No light in your part?
No, sir.
ये
Light is present.
आप सामने लाइट के सामने खड़े हो, आप लाइट के सामने खड़े हो जाओ तो आप we can see you well.
yeah, we can see you now, Madhusmita.
Yes, good to see you. हाँ, कैसा लगा आपको सेशन? How did you like it? Anything that you want to say?
Sir, I loved the session very much. The way Arun sir explained and all the teachers and professors explained about the Newton and different histories of the poets. I literally loved them.
Very nice. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
sir,
Thank you.
I also thank you
just
for
Madhu,
helping me explore more.
okay. With everybody, Madhusmita, I met when she was in class 8th or 9th. I'm not very sure. In Bhubaneswar.
Mhm.
When I met her,
Yeah.
I asked her, how do you study? बोला अभी तो मेरे को कोई पढ़ाने वाला भी नहीं है, पहले फादर पढ़ाते थे, वो भी नहीं है. And her depth of and command was impressive in 2 lines. So I said, what do you do? तो बोलती है, सर क्या करते हैं सर, एक पैराग्राफ पढ़ते हैं, फिर अपना कॉपी में लिखते हैं कि इस पैराग्राफ से मैंने क्या सीखा. हमने वेरी गुड. और कुछ
Yeah.
फिर सोचते हैं कि ये पैराग्राफ जो पढ़ा उसका लाइफ में कोई मेरा यूज है कि नहीं. हमने कहा वेरी गुड.
Lovely, lovely. That is lovely.
हाँ, she was I think 11 or 12 years of age. I do not know. फिर बोलती है
So
आंसर
nice.
मिलता है. बहुत का तो आंसर नहीं मिलता है सर, लेकिन बाकी का सोचते सोचते मिल जाता है. तो आगे तो ऐसा करते करते जब लास्ट होता है चैप्टर सब, जब क्वेश्चन पर हम आते हैं तो हमको लगता है तो सब क्वेश्चन का आंसर मेरे को पता है. I respected and loved that girl when I met
Oh,
her.
yeah.
So, that's
So
Madhusmita.
nice. Very nice. बहुत
And
बढ़िया.
where do you get that clarity at that age?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
True.
Ayush is an 11-year-old boy. I met him
Yeah.
2 years back. His Mama was my student, Sunil in the group. Ayush मेरे से 9 साल की उम्र में बोलता है कि do you think that Newton's laws of motion and quantum mechanics are not contradicting each other? So I thought maybe he has heard some words from here and there, and he just his parents had brought him to me. तो मैं बोल रहा कि quantum mechanics and Newton both are same only, दोनों साइंस है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? बोलता क्या है? Who tells people told me that you are a genius? I don't find any intelligence in you. And then my friends here, this boy talks about how does the Greek mythology differ from Indian mythology, how the Greek historians have ensured that Greek gods are not mixed with common people. Indian historians have failed in that. I mean, so sometimes his parents bring him to me, and I was very happy that today he was there, but I think he has left.
He
Since
has
nobody is
dropped
speaking,
them.
I'm
Yes.
speaking the part. Ashutosh, all over to you.
Yes, Rahul ji also, I think he had unmuted himself for some time. He wanted to speak.
And Kanaklata, two hands I could see.
Yeah, yeah.
Two raised hands.
Yeah, Kanaklata ji, you can unmute yourself. You
One
can
by one.
talk anything that you wish.
बहुत अच्छा सेशन था ये, थैंक यू सो मच। मन में कुछ सवाल था तो लगा कि पूछ ही लेते हैं, बट कैन आई स्पीक इन हिंदी? आई एम मोर
बिल्कुल
कंफर्टेबल
बिल्कुल
इन।
बिल्कुल मैम।
Oh, yes, yes.
अच्छा,
आराम से बोलिए,
कनक
कोई
लता
ahead.
मैम
प्रॉब्लम
हिंदी
नहीं
की
है।
प्रोफेसर है राजकीय में। मैडम मैडम प्लीज बोलिए।
सर इसमें आप दो बात जैसे मुझे लगी ये चीज कि एक जगह आप कह रहे हैं कि न्यूटन वाज अगेंस्ट द कंसेप्ट ऑफ ट्रिनिटी, ठीक है, और फिर एक जगह ये भी है कि कैन यू कंबाइन मैटर एंड स्पिरिट, लाइट वुड अफेक्ट मैटर, मैटर वुड अफेक्ट लाइट। तो इसमें मतलब कि ये चीज एक मतलब मैं अपनी कह रही हूँ, जितनी मुझे समझ है मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि जैसे हमारी इंडियन फिलोसफी है और जो वेस्टर्न फिलोसफी है, तो इंडियन फिलोसफी में भी ये कहते हैं कि जो जो एग्जिस्टेंस का जो स्तर होता है वो 3 लेवल्स होता है। एक होता है काउजल वर्ल्ड होता है, सेकंड होता है एस्ट्रल वर्ल्ड होता है, और थर्ड होता है मटेरियल वर्ल्ड होता है। काउजल वर्ल्ड कहते हैं कि दैट इज प्योर थॉट, एस्ट्रल वर्ल्ड कहते हैं वर्ल्ड ऑफ लाइट, एंड मैटर वर्ल्ड जो ये हमारे 5 तत्वों से बनी हुई चीजें होती हैं। तो ये जो कह रहे हैं कि मैटर और लाइट वुड अफेक्ट मैटर, अफेक्ट लाइट, तो वो तो चीज होगी ना। ट्रिनिटी वाली बात पर ऐसा है कि जैसे हमारे यहाँ ब्रह्म और शिव और शक्ति का जो कंसेप्ट है, ब्रह्म शिव और शक्ति का जो कंसेप्ट है, उसी तरह का कंसेप्ट कुछ ट्रिनिटी वाले में भी है कि गॉड इज प्योर थॉट, एंड देन जो जो हमारे यहाँ शक्ति और शिव मिलकर के नेचर की जो रचना करते हैं, जिसमें शिव जो है ही इज पैसिव एंड शक्ति इज एक्टिव, तो ट्रिनिटी में वही कंसेप्ट है। तो फिर सारी चीजें तो फिर एक ही है ना, कोई डिफरेंशिएशन है नहीं। शायद न्यूटन इस चीज को समझ रहे होंगे, इसीलिए वो he was against Trinity, the concept of Trinity. मतलब I think like this, मुझे ऐसा लगता है।
ये तो बहुत ही सुंदर रिएक्शन, प्रतिक्रिया आपकी है, इसमें सवाल तो नहीं है। इस पर और आगे मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि न्यूटन का जो गॉड का कॉन्सेप्ट है हमारे ब्रह्म के कॉन्सेप्ट से कितना डिफरेंट है, लेकिन और आगे जाने के बदले में आपने तो बिल्कुल कॉम्प्लीमेंट ही किया है। मुझे तो नहीं लगता कहीं आपने इसको कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट किया है।
बिल्कुल।
तो कोई सवाल तो शायद नहीं आपका, कनेक्ट होता है
नहीं,
सवाल
अपना थॉट था इनका, जो कि बहुत ही
अपना
अच्छा
थॉट,
लगा।
कमेंट्स है, वेलकम।
जी जी, थैंक
सो
यू।
वेरी वेल।
अनिल दत्ता सर, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे क्या? सर, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि आप
बोलना मुझे इतना ही है कि देखिए, कोई एक जो बेसिक इशू जो न्यूटन के बारे में और न्यूटन के टाइम्स से जो इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल कर हम लोग सामने रख रहे हैं, कोई भी उस एरा का, या इवन इन द प्रेजेंट एरा, आई मेट फ्यू पीपल who are in the category of scientists. I some time back met a gentleman who is the head of the Center for Brain Research in the Institute of Science. I had gone there with my grandson who wanted to do some work there. अभी के present context में the earlier world had a little disconnect because the communications were not very good, the mediums were not very good, the exchanges were not very fast. अभी thanks to technology these things have become fast. तो ये न्यूटन का अप्रोच उस जमाने में जो हिस्ट्री जो बैकग्राउंड अरुण जी ने बताया है, उससे इतना ही क्लियर होके आता है who was not interested in concept, thought, idea, discovery, invention, innovation, जो भी कह लें हम. His approach was more, I would say, he was the ideal model of convergence. If I summarize all the efforts that Newton did, he was the apex of convergence of his times, which was not available commonly at that time in that domain or in that platform. And that is why it becomes so amusing today. और आज के दिन हम उसको अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं एंड पीपल डोंट नो अबाउट हिम और पीपल डोंट नो अबाउट दीज फैक्ट्स which does not inspire the common person who has the ability. And wisdom is ultimately the convergence. If you reach the convergence and the apex of convergence, that is the ultimate wisdom. पहुंचे या नहीं पहुंचे या कहाँ तक पहुंचे is an entirely different subject. So, knowing about Newton, when I was first, exposed to the topic, I became very keen because I had not known. I must admit my ignorance. I always thought Newton to be a mathematician, to be a physicist, to be an inventor, to be a discoverer, to be a researcher, to be a scientist. That he contributed so much into the literature. It was a very wonderful thing to know about, and also inspire now to read more about it and get those ideas from him. So that if this goes to the younger generation, let alone the younger generation, even we would learn a lot about how do we approach the apex, the point of wisdom. Basically, everyone strives to, go जैसा अभी प्रोफेसर साहब ने कहा कि ट्रम्प आएंगे और जाएंगे, तो the trump lies in hitting the apex of wisdom, and that is the apex of convergence. And that these are this methodology, that somebody gets the idea, somebody does the work on it, and then you bring it on a platform where you can share it with like-minded people who can further spread it on. I don't know whether you have, any one of you had occasion to hear a lecture of Mr. Venkateshwaran, who is a member of a fellow of Royal Society. At the age of 9, he went outside India and did a lot of. He talks on things like faith, belief, religion, mythology, and things like that. And his essence is mostly on the scientific fervor. And he was speaking in a Rajya Sabha conference, and for 1.5 hours, I didn't realize that 1.5 hours passed listening to him. He was perhaps the chairman, I'm not sure about it, of FRS, a fellow of chairman of Royal Society for some time. But his work, he himself said, I moved out of India at the age of 9, and then I have been studying in England and US. But his concept, he was also an ideal model of convergence of religion, mythology, history, philosophy, science. And he explained everything. Anyone who asked, the journalists were there, they asked him questions. And it was, I must be having that recording somewhere. It was a wonderful piece to hear and also learn from. So it's a great job that Shri and Arun ji have taken up on themselves. Shri is of course in the field, so he is he is lighting the fire, and the torch is very nicely being taken forward by Arunji. And I fully agree with Dr. Raj that this session, because Newton is endless, we can continue as much as we can, so that it ultimately enlightens us on different aspects. So thank you, Arunji, and thank you, Shri ji for this great idea. And youngsters, of
Rahil,
course.
Rahil is not a group of learning together. So, Ashutosh, you can ask
Yeah.
Rahil or somebody to.
Yeah, Rahil ji, I can see your hand raised.
Sorry,
So can you?
I typed accidentally made a typo in my typing my name, so it shows Rahil, and I cannot edit it. My name is Rahul actually.
Rahul.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Arun sir, for a very nice talk, and I learned several things. And I must say, I really liked the fact that you mentioned Newton's contribution to alchemy also, which is something which is not much discussed when people talk about Newton's contribution. I have heard people still say, talk about some contribution about literature, which you went into a lot of details. But I really liked that you also mentioned the alchemy contributions and the fact that Newton is considered the last magician. This was really nice. I had one question, if which I have wondered always. Maybe you know the answer quickly. So Newton was also very reluctant to publish his scientific research. So, for example, most of his discoveries he did as a young person around in his early 20s. But then he wrote his books much later, and in many cases, what happened is some of his discoveries, like calculus, was independently discovered by other researchers, which then led to a lot of dispute. So there are several scientific disputes of Newton about credit sharing and all. So I have been trying to understand why he was such a reluctant publisher. Uh, do you have any idea why he was so reluctant to publish in his early days?
It was not reluctance, Rahul. It was forced to, because there was a condition before he became before anybody gets the chair of professorship in Cambridge, he has to get the approval of the church at that time, and he has to spend 2 years in the church studying theology. In case of Newton, much before that, he was known to be a heretic, and if he had spoken a single word, forget about the professorship, he would have been killed. It was God's hand, and literally and metaphorically, that at the age of 25, the people who were powers to be in Cambridge, they knew about brilliance, so they changed the law. They changed the law so he could hold on the chair despite proving himself to be a church person. But there are two reasons why he became reluctant. Of course, I'm not going into the psychological part, which must have played lots of roles. The two reasons that, number one, there's a gentleman called Hooke. Science ke log hai, Robert Hooke, sune hoga, Hooke's law. Hooke was claiming that most of the papers that small kind of presentations that Newton was doing, he has taken it from Hooke. It's like all things, part right, part true. Hooke did discuss few things, but definitely it was not taken completely from Hooke. He said that his concepts of light and gravitation are taken from him. And he was so severe on Newton that Newton decided not to publish any paper in his life on science and mathematics. So one reason was and second thing is that he built a place near the church itself. Look at the irony, in Cambridge. But he became a recluse. He had these gardens. Most of his researches he did there. So if I understand your question and rightly, why did he why was he not inclined to publish many papers? Because he knew that he is mixing religiosity and scriptures and God and nature and science. The moment people hear, they will simply bar him for life. Neither is a scientist nor a religious person. And number two, most of his ideas were heretic. And number three, he had taken sannyas bolo, withdrawal syndrome, that he didn't want to do work in science and mathematics. So only when he was at the age of 50, that there is a person, I'm just forgetting, Hooke. He approached Newton for a specific purpose. Hooke said that I have found that the path of the orbits are elliptical. I'm not able to prove that they are proportional to 1 by r square. And this man within no time said, then why don't you invert the problem? Start with 1 by r square and it will come to L. And he was so excited. Who? Newton himself. Then he decided to come back to writing of science. Number two, about Leibniz. Leibniz was the person who around 30 or 40 years parallel to Newton, who claimed that he has found calculus.
Yes.
Now, Newton was not known to be a nice man to know, that all of us know. So Newton kept on thrashing him after his death. He kept writing papers on Leibniz even after his death. But the fact of the matter is, everybody is agreed that there were two independent thought processes, two independent origin of ideas, and two independent approaches, including the terminology. So it is reasonable to believe that none of them was inspired or affected by the other. Controversy, तो we love controversy. एक मुझे फिल्म याद आ रही है, The Inglorious Bastard. तो जिन्होंने Inglorious Bastard देखी है, उसका जो first 15 minutes का shot है, when the Jew hunter is trying to hunt the Jews, तो उसमें बोलता है they are rumors. वो क्या बोलता है? Oh, I love rumors. So people love rumors, and to expand on that. But to my mind, Rahul, I think everybody is almost sure that Newton and Leibniz, they did their work independently on calculus. Most of it, 20% का 30% फसाना. How did you come to know about the session, Rahul? How did you come to know about the session?
So I am, as like Shri's uncle said, I am related with him. So he told me about this, and he gave me the link to join.
So please thank him from our behalf.
Yeah.
He's here. He's here, sir.
No, I'm
Ashutosh.
here.
Yeah. Okay,
And,
so sorry, go on, sir.
No, please, that's okay. That's Rahulji has said all that. He actually is married in my family. He's my niece's husband.
Oh.
And he has worked in IISc Bangalore, his PhD is from there. Then Math Science Institute at Chennai, where he did postdoc. Then he was in the European lab for any number of years before he was pulled back into India. He was going to end up in New York, but we said, well, look, India is not such a bad country either. So he and his wife is in chemistry. She is also a graduate of IISc Bangalore. And Rajji knows the family. Rajji has known his wife since she was, old enough to be held in her hand. And Rajji has held her in her hand. So I thought Rahulji would, if he found time, because they have a young baby, and these days parents, not in our time, fathers had little to do with young kids. Sorry.
Sunil. Yeah, ji, Sunil, मजा आया? Sunil.
सुनील जी आप म्यूटेड हैं.
नमस्कार टू एवरीबॉडी. पहला चीज तो हम ये बोलेंगे भैया कि सिंपली मिसमराइजिंग एज एवरीबॉडी सेड, लेकिन बहुत दिनों के बाद हम ये सेशन अटेंड कर रहे हैं बिकॉज आई वाज एंगेज्ड इन माय सन्स मैरिज एंड लेटर ऑन. तो आप जो सब्जेक्ट चुने हैं, यू आर बेस्ट एट इट, टीचिंग एंड रिसर्चिंग. तो मेरा सेशन ज्वाइन करने का पहला और आखिरी मकसद यही था कि आप जो करेंगे वो पूरे दिल से करेंगे और उसका व्याख्या भी उसी ढंग से करेंगे. और मतलब मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव तो भी पूरा हुआ, लेकिन जैसे सारे प्रबुद्ध वक्ता लोगों ने कहा कि वी शुड हैव सम मोर सेशंस लाइक दिस. जो लर्निंग टुगेदर का जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है वो मतलब कि पूरा होगा, तब इस तरह का सेशन हम लोग और करें. और एक चीज भैया, मतलब हम थोड़ा सा अपना मतलब ऑब्जर्वेशन की, जो हो सकता है कि हम गलत ऑब्जर्व किए होंगे, कि आपने जो कहा कि जैसे 5 मिलियन वर्ड्स उन्होंने लिखा अबाउट इंग्लिश, 3 मिलियन अबाउट साइंस एंड मैथमेटिक्स, बट साइंस एंड मैथमेटिक्स रिक्वायर लेस नंबर ऑफ वर्ड्स. पर मेरा जो अपना सोच है, इसलिए उनका जो विचार होगा वो 5 मिलियन से ज्यादा होगा, लेकिन वो कंसाइज हो गया होगा साइंस एंड मैथ्स में मे भी. तो और तो खैर क्या कहना. सो यू आर thumbs up.
Thank you.
Nice to you.
Thank you, Sunil ji. So, what a session, sir. I remember as probably 12 years or 11-year-old, first time Newton का नाम सुना था मैंने, with that story, that famous story of apple dropping from the tree and the laws of gravitation. और उसके बाद जब भी फिजिक्स में कोई नया चैप्टर शुरू होता तो लॉज ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन से शुरू हुआ. फिर लाइट वाला चैप्टर पढ़ाया गया, उसमें भी न्यूटन साहब आ गए. हीट पढ़ाया गया, उसमें न्यूटन आ गए. साउंड पढ़ाया गया, उसमें न्यूटन आ गए. तो मुझे लगता था कि यार ये न्यूटन कितना परेशान करता है, सब जगह एक लॉ लेके पहुंच गया कुछ ना कुछ. And so much of it that when the first class of, I remember, calculus our professor took, he again mentioned of Newton. Newton is the one who's supposed to be father of modern calculus. So मैंने अपना सिर पीट लिया, कितना न्यूटन कहाँ कहाँ पे है. And I was overwhelmed. And today it was another kind of flood of information or inputs about Newton that I got from you. And one thing very important which I wanted to say here is I have a cousin who is a professor of architecture, and I'm definitely going to share with him those clips, the kind of those clips where you talked about Newton's work on architecture. He is a PhD in architecture and he has been a professor. He currently teaches in Patna, I think. So I'll share with him. So these are the things which I think very few people will know about unless somebody had done a very focused research like Professor Chaudhary or you, who have cared to find about these things. Nobody will know about such things, and particularly about literature and all these things. I'll be very honest. I came to know when the discussions started in the group. There is that Newton has got some contribution in English literature as well. So I'm speechless. That is what I would say. Personally, I feel I'm overwhelmed, and I consider myself wiser after much wiser before the start of than what I was at the beginning of this talk. So thank you so much, sir, and probably we'll look forward to more such talks from you on Newton.
एक चीज
Thank you,
ऐड
sir.
करना चाहेंगे भैया कि आपने शुरू किया था हम लोग का साथ कि साइंस में ब्यूटी है, तो both of you, Newton and you, found beauty in science. So thank you very much.
बिल्कुल सही. So I'll stop the recording now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, been a wonderful evening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you, Arun ji.